Whip the wing off this car because you can see here it's going really rusty. It's a common quirk of the Volvo 850, so I've got to take it off to get to the inside to get rid of the rust, see how far gone it is. The other side's starting to go as well, but there's just, it's the Achilles heel of these things, and getting another wing is nearly impossible. So that's my job today. So I've taken the indicator cluster and side light off, and I've just got to work it out. It's not something I've ever done before, so I'm going to whip the wheel off so I can get in there. I've had a look at a YouTube video which has been quite informative, but it's one thing to see somebody talking you through it, it's another thing to actually do it. So I'll see how I go. I'm going to get this off, and then if I do manage it, we'll film a bit, and I'll talk you through what I did. Just get rid of all of that rust and see what's actually left of the metal, and then I'll make a decision on whether this wing is actually repairable or whether I really need to get another one. The rust isn't quite as widespread as I'd feared, so actually I might do all right. Well, you can see here the wing is now off. Now it wasn't actually quite as bad a job as I thought it would be. It's awkward, certainly very dirty, and it's something that on the internet they show you the wing and they show you where the bolts are, but I haven't really seen any footage of showing you what's inside once it's off. And sometimes this can be quite helpful. We can see here the overspray is from a previous repair, and there's this bracket here. This was probably the hardest one to get at because you need to pop these rivets off here to be able to pull this back. The wing fits down here, and then we've also got this bracket here is bolted to the wing that just secures all this. This actually wasn't too bad. You get at these two up from underneath, and pulling this back allows you to align the spanner, and what I use is one of these, and they've got like a ratchet in. Invaluable. We've also got, there's a bolt there, and you have to wiggle this so that this little protrusion here pulls back out of the wing. There's also a bolt there that you get at underneath the bonnet catch, just down there. That can be a little bit awkward, but some of this wiring can be moved out of the way. And let's have a look what else. Oh, you've got to pop, there's a rivet on there, and there's a few rivets down here, and you can see that some of these areas, the amount of, I mean, blimey neck, this is road debris that you can't actually get at otherwise. Look at the state of that. That's like sand, just like sand off the road. So I'm going to give all that a good clean out. Everything else looks reasonably sound. You can now access the bonnet hinges. Oh, we've also got, you open the door and there's a bolt goes through there. Is it there? No. Where is it? There. There's a bolt there and a bolt there. They can be a little bit on the awkward side to get at. I'm going to leave all this in place, and then let's have a look at the wing. This is the inside, and we can see the Achilles heel of the Volvo 850. Secret rust, and this is quite bad, and you can see previous repair that's fiberglass, so's that, but there's really not a lot left here. What I'm going to do is I've got an attachment for an electric drill, and I'm going to try and just do something there. There's a little patch coming there and over there. All of this I'm going to just grind down and see whether this is actually salvageable, because if it is, it saves a lot of aggro, because most Volvo 850s suffer from this secret rust. I mean, that is quite bad. Most of this is going to have to be built back up. Now the passenger side isn't as bad, but we can see there it's starting to bubble through and round there. But I'm going to have a go at repairing them, and it means I'm going to have to get quite good at body repair, use fiberglass bridging compound, and paint these up. And I'm going to give the insides a really good paint. But yeah, there we are. Looks alright. Oh hello. You catch me just as I'm clearing up some tools, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go out to somewhere I can get some fiberglass bridging compound, some vehicle filler, and I also want some stuff to inhibit the rust. So it's like a chemical that you paint on the steel. It reacts with the rust and stops any development of rust, and at the same time seals the metal so it won't rust anymore. And then we'll see where we go from there. The metal on the wing is quite thin in places. There's quite a few holes. I've just gone straight through. But I think there's enough there that I can effect a repair. And then once I'm happy with this side, got it all done, dusted, undercoated, then what I will do is I'll turn my attention to the other side. Because with the wings off the car, you can see we've got access to clean up and paint this portion of the bumper, and I'm going to get myself some proper paint to be able to do that, and then the bumper will look brand new again as well. So that'll just be a fringe benefit of doing this job. But it's a big job, it's dirty, and we're getting there. So been out, and I'm £55 lighter, but that's a lot cheaper than getting new wings for it, which has proven pretty much impossible. And actually the only pair of wings that I tracked down for it that weren't rusted in the same way that you've seen with mine were the wrong colour, so I'd have had to have resprayed them. So what I've got, first of all, quite important, we need to stop that rust from spreading. There's no point in painting over it if it's just going to rust away again, and then we're back to square one. So this stuff is pretty good. You paint it on, it nukes the rust, stabilises it, and gives us a basis to paint over. So that's the first thing. Then what I've got next is Zinc Primer, rust resistant coating. I'm going to paint this over the top of that, give a good spray around, and this is a little bit like galvanising in a can. Pretty reasonable stuff, so can of that. Then, once I've done all that, this is the biggie, and this is the glass fibre repair paste, and we've talked a little bit about this on other videos to do with the boat. Actually, it's stuff that I use in a marine environment an awful lot. Brilliant stuff, really useful, so many different uses, but I'd run out, so it's as good an opportunity as any to get myself a nice big tin, and we're going to use that to get rid of the holes. We're going to fill them in and actually build up a little bit of thickness on the back of the metal to bring back some of the strength and rigidity that's been lost by the metal rusting away. Once all that's done, we're going to give it a coat over the top with the zinc primer, and then we start the work with sanding sponges. We've got fine and medium, and fine and medium, and fine, very fine. And the idea of this is we get a good key between the different coats, and that then allows the next coat of paint to bond to it. Talking of paint, Volvo Silver. Apparently they haven't changed this colour since 1977. The only problem with this is that this is not got 22 years of sun bleaching going on, so might just have to see how well that tones in. And then the final thing, over the top, clear lacquer, and that just gives you that nice glossy finish. So we go over with the fine, very fine sanding sponge and a coat of clear lacquer. One other thing that I got is Rover Hurricane Grey. Now I don't have a Rover, nor do I wish to repaint one, but this dark slate grey I think is going to be the perfect colour for that dark bit of the bumper. So I thought, whilst everything's off, we're going to have to do that anyway. So for an extra £7, got myself a can of what I think is going to be about the right colour. So that's all of our gear now. We're going to go out there and we're going to start off getting a coat of this on. First things first, what we're going to do is we need to clean all the dust off. You can see there, all the sanding has given a dusty coating, and there's going to be a bit of dirt on there anyway. Now, we don't want to use soap and water. You can use it, but problems. We've got bare metal here. Water, well, it's probably not the best thing to mix. Plus, it's immiscible with the paint. The paint is oil-based, based on xylene, so we're going to get into all sorts of problems if we want to crack on with this. So, use white spirit. Pretty good at, with a piece of loo roll, just getting rid of that dust, and it evaporates really quickly. So then we're good to go straight away with the Cure Rust. Well, what I've got here is the cleaned up inside of the wing, and I've gone over it with that wire brush attachment, quite useful. It's got it down to reasonably bare metal. You can see it's desperately pitted. There's also a couple of other patches there and there which I've got before they've actually developed into anything, but you can see how this rust starts just with little bits like that. And the wing is actually galvanised, but what's happening is because the rust is getting underneath the galvanising and it's just lifting it off as the metal underneath is rotted away. We can see a lot of these holes, they're going right through. So on this side we can see a lot of these areas where you just stick your finger right through. The idea now is fiberglass bridging compound this side and the other once we've treated the metal, and then we can sand that and regain the profile of the wing on the outside. So we've got here the wing, and it's changed a bit from when we last saw it. I've got the Cure Rust paint on it, which is the paint that primes the bare metal and stops any traces of rust that's there from developing any further, kind of just neutralises it and stops hopefully any new rust from developing. I've then gone over the top with a zinc spray-on primer. That now gives a good base for the fiberglass body filler to adhere to, and also once it's all rubbed down will also allow the top coat to be painted on over the top. So we're out here, it's a beautiful day, and we've got the wing, and you can see that we've built up a few layers of paint, sorted out the area of corrosion, shoved in a load of filler, fiberglass filler, and yes, I know it's not perfect. Well, the wing wasn't perfect to start with. You see the wrinkle there? This vehicle had a prang probably 20 years ago and has never been repaired. I couldn't get new wings, but I've done the best I can, and at the end of the day, somebody who's more talented than me would be able to get this perfect, but I'm incompetent. I just bodged through. It's good enough for me. So what we've done, we rubbed it down, a coat of the zinc primer, another coat of the zinc primer, rubbed it down again, and then we started with the top coat, which is metallic silver, and I did two fairly thin coats of this. And what you want to do with this, don't try and get full coverage off one spray of the can, because it'll end up with runs, it'll look nasty. So thin is best. I did a quick pass, left 15 minutes to dry, quick pass again, and then I left it for 24 hours, and then rubbed it down and did the same again. And now what we're doing is we're putting on the clear lacquer, and this really brings out the lustre of the coat of paint, and will also make it match the rest of the car. And if you're using a metallic paint, as I'm using the metallic silver to match the Volvo, you need the lacquer to bring that paint out to its fullest. It's designed to be used with the lacquer. So I've put a coat of lacquer on this, and I'm going to now give it a second coat, and then we should be ready to fit it to the car. So there's a couple of bits I need to do first before I do that, but all well and good. Let's get on with this. And there, like that, we're done. So let's just clear any remaining lacquer from the can. That just makes sure that it doesn't block up, so next time we use it, paint will actually come out. I've made that mistake before, I'm not going to make it again. So if you come back with us a little bit later on, we'll have painted up the bumper enough that we can get this bolted to the car. Once all that's back together, I'm going to get the car out so that I can get access to the other side and unbolt that other wing, and see if I can get access to that bolt that's just spinning in there. There's like a captive nut. and we'll see what the rust damage is with that and repeat the whole process. Rinse and repeat, and we'll be good to go. Well, the problem I've come into on this side, we just started to see this little patina of rust, and I thought, oh, it's not as bad as the driver's side, and au contraire. When I've come to take the, I wanted to try and take the bumper off, so I can get it cleaned up and get this bit painted in that dark grey. And, well, that's coming right out because, I don't know whether it'll see, but down there, you can just see it's all rusted away, and the bolt's just spinning because there's no metal left at all. And if I look on the floor, it's just bits like that. That's all that's left of the wing. That's it. Nothing but rust. So I'm going to have to improvise. The rest of the wing seems pretty sound, but I'm going to have to repeat the process that I did for the other side, and that's going to mean actually getting the car out onto the drive, because there's not enough room on this side to be able to get in to unbolt the wing. It's not a massive problem, but it's like so many restoration jobs. The more you take off, the more you find that needs doing. So I just hope I don't find any more horrors underneath there. Hello there. You catch me right at the point where I've masked up the front of the car. This is to prevent any overspray. And I sanded down the plastic bumper, and it was looking really faded. Plastic goes weird in sunlight over 22 years. So what I'm doing first is I'm putting on a coat of the Zinc Primer. Now it's really intended for putting to metal, but in this case I need a really good base for the top coat to adhere to, and it's not going to adhere to the plastic directly. So I'm going to use a little bit of this primer and see how we go. So all masked up, let's see if we get a really neat job. So it's been a really long day, and I'm celebrating in the best way possible, and really just look at how it's come together. This is superb. I need to T-cut down this wing because I can still feel it's a slightly rougher finish, and that'll bring the shine up really quite nicely. But we've got it all reassembled, we've got all the front cleaned up, and look at this bumper. This really is what it's all about. Quick coat of paint has just changed this and made it look like a new vehicle again. So I'm really proud of how this has turned out. I've still got to do some pop riveting so we can see some of these panel gaps here. Once all of that is pop riveted back into place around the wheel arch, all of this will pull back in, and that'll finish that off. And then we've got the front fascia. I cleaned all this up, got it all reassembled, got the headlight wiper blade back on there, and then really the next task is we've got to do the other side, but that's a job for another day. Well, you catch me out here in the garden, and I've been working on the other side of the Volvo, and actually, as it turned out, when I took off the other side, it was even worse. It was falling to bits, huge pieces of rust. So I've had to find a new and innovative way to do this, and one of the things that I thought of doing, because most of this bit area here where you see now fiberglass, because I finished the work, there was just nothing there. Metal was gone, rusted away. So I didn't really have anything to put the fiberglass onto. So a little bodger's technique here. I've got some leftover lead flashing, and I've actually cut a piece out and panel beat it into shape, and I glued it over the huge hole, and that's provided a lovely base that the fiberglass can fit onto. Otherwise, how else are you going to build up the hole? And we've done a bit of work elsewhere. You can see I've had to get rid of so much rust. It's just been unbelievable. And even down here, in areas that the other wing, it just wasn't touched by corrosion. Here, it's just been quietly rusting away secretly, but hopefully this is going to sort the issue out. So we're going to leave it out here. I've run out of primer, so I can't really do anything else today, but it doesn't really matter. We'll let all of this just set absolutely solid, then it needs good sanding. It's quite cool and chilly out here now, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to enjoy a little bit of something to eat. Anyway, I hope you like this video. I hope it's been informative to you. Don't forget to like this video, share it too, and also subscribe to the channel, and you'll be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. And also, don't forget, look back through, we've got an awful lot of really good content there for you to watch your way through, and thanks again for watching this video. Until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying, take good care of yourself. Today's video has been brought to you by my books, Bringing Home the Stars, Twinkle Little Star, and also you can get the complete comic collections of All Over the House, Books 1, Books 2, and also the wacky zany Life of Knob T Mouse. Thanks, and catch you later.